episode of the Fearless 30 brought to you by Wide World of Wings. I am Jason Myers. It's very nice to have you here tonight because joining us on set, we have two of our fighters that will be fighting on Fearless Fighting Championship 15 coming up April the 12th at Westman Arena. We have Mr. Nick Spina and Mr. Chris Hansman. How are you guys today?
Really good, man.
Really good.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming up. I know, Nick, you have a little bit of a shorter haul. You came up from North Branch. Chris, we certainly appreciate the time.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about it. You guys, of course, both had very good amateur careers, but now it's time to step up to the pro level, which is a little bit different, a little bit longer rounds. Obviously, now that you can throw elbows, the game becomes a little bit different. Chris, we'll start with you. Have you changed any of your training now that you know you're going to make that step up from the amateur level to the pro?
Not really, man. I'm more of a distance athlete. I honestly think if there was no rounds, no time limits, I would win every time. I really just have faith in myself. If it goes distance-wise, I have an advantage, so I'm not really afraid of that.
What's your background? I mean, did you run? I mean, you're a pretty slender, lean guy. Were you like a track guy in high school?
Basketball, mostly, football, track. I just got a really clean diet, so I stay really thin.
Yeah, you know, I follow you on Facebook, and it seems like when I see the concoctions you make, I'm like, he's got all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah,
It's all natural.
Yeah, I eat like twice as much as I ever did before, and I'm walking like the lightest I've ever had in my whole life.
I was going to say, this is probably the smallest I've actually ever seen you. What are you walking around at right now?
Like 50 last night, actually.
So, which is nice because you're going to come in. Usually fighters are about 15, 20 pounds overweight by this before,
Cut
what
from
the night before.
75 before, so this is a little bit easier to cut now.
75 to 45, that is going to be a big cut. Of course, Nick, you've been training here. Of course, you have your own gym, Superior Martial Arts. How are things going over there?
Going good. We got quite a few new guys. We've got a couple of the guys that are going to be on this card as well. You know, just like the question you asked him, I just doing the same thing. I haven't really stepped it up, maybe just a little bit, but you know, just training hard all the time. But gym's going good over there. Got lots of guys.
Of course, you know, it's one of the things that you find a little bit harder. I know you and I have talked about this. When you're in the gym and you're training just to train, it's a little bit easier to focus on the fight. But now when you have guys underneath you, you're trying to get them ready for a fight, and you have a big fight coming up. It probably puts a little bit more pressure on you, huh?
Yeah, it's actually been a big difference because, like, when I was at another gym, you know, that's all you did. You showed up at 6 and you left at 9 and you just trained, did what he told you to do. Now I've got to worry about other guys. And I love doing it. It's just, you know, I'm focused more on them than I am myself half the time. But it's kind of evening it out a little bit now. You know, I got some guys that are in there that have been fighting pro for quite a while, and they're helping me as I'm helping the other guys. So it's working out pretty good for this time.
Once again, welcome back to the Fearless 30. I'm Jason Myers. On set with us, Chris Hansman and Nick Spina. Let's talk about your opponents, obviously, coming up. Chris, we'll start with you. Obviously, you're going against a guy that has yet to face a defeat in his career. He went 9-0 as an amateur. He actually had his pro debut last weekend, made a first round armbar. A really tough guy. He knows his jiu-jitsu. Talk a little bit about Robert and maybe some of your game plan. I know you don't want to give it all away, but...
That's all right. Well, he has a knack for winning, always. He's, you know, proven it 10 times. Athleticism-wise, I probably just have a little bit of an advantage. Just doing all the different sports I've done, I feel like I've just had more of a natural knack for things. And I also have a knack for winning as well, so it'll be interesting. But it'll be interesting to have a guy that's my size. He's about my exact build. So I won't have the reach advantage that I've had on some people, but I've also fought at 155 pounds where people are 6 foot. So I guess it's not too much of a difference, but it'll be interesting. He's earned where he's been, so.
One of the things that I've heard about you and from some of the past people that you've actually fought, you hit really, really hard. You're a very hard hitter. Do you plan on trying to keep it on the ground knowing that his status in jiu-jitsu is very solid?
Honestly, my kickboxing, the reason that I can do what I want to do, and I never care about being taken down, because if I do, I'm very good at getting back to my feet. And my jiu-jitsu is pretty good by itself, too. Yeah, my kickboxing, it's all about timing. And working with Heath Faunas too, man, he's really carved me into a completely different style of striker that's not very common in MMA, and it is very effective.
Yeah, let's talk about this. Now, you actually were telling me a little bit before we started filming, you actually have a new kickboxing coach, and he's very lethal on the feet, is what you're telling me.
Yes, yeah, different style. The Muay Thai style I love. I mostly love the knees and the elbows from it, but it's too patternable. And when you have a high-level striker, man, they can eat you up when you're patternable. So I kind of trying to get away from that style. It works, I mean, but at the highest level, it's starting to show that isn't going to be your bread and butter.
You know, when you step back, you know, obviously Rob has Bobbert has put a lot of, you know, work in the gym, and he's got a lot of tape. Have you been able to sit down and watch a tape and kind of pick out some things that you want to try to exploit in this fight?
Well, we grew up fighting pretty much the same time. I've seen a lot of his fights live. I haven't seen a lot of tape on him, but I'm the kind of person that, I mean, I get the general idea. He's long, he's tall, he wrestles, he's going to take you down, he's going to try to beat me up. It just doesn't scare me, so I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and he's going to be there, but I think what I'm going to do is going to matter more than seeing what he's going to do.
Of course, we're joined on set by Chris Hansman and Nick Spina. They're going to be a part of Fearless Fighting Championship 15, which is happening April the 12th at Westman Arena. Kind of nice to go back home to Superior. Of course, I want to remind everybody, we have some great sponsors as well. We want to say thank you to some new sponsors. Bill Thompson Law Office will be joining us. Also, Grumpy's Tavern in Superior. And don't forget to come on out the night before for the weigh-ins, which is happening at the Other Place Bar and Grill in Woodland, right off Calgary Road. It's going to be a great time. They're going to have lots of food for everyone to come on out. It is going to be big. So I know it's one thing you get fighters, after they've been cutting weight so long, they like to eat some good food and get ready to go for the fights. Kind of ironic, this kind of worked out the way it did, but you, Nick, are going to be fighting actually Bobbert's teammate, Travis Karpinen. Talk a little bit about Travis, another guy that's kind of built like Bobbert, very long, very lean, and pretty slick on the mat.
Mm-hmm. I actually don't know a whole lot about the kid. I've seen a couple YouTube videos, and then I've watched his match against Bobbert. Bobbert handled him pretty well, and I believe he caught him in submission. I don't remember what it was, or was it TKO? But
it was a TKO, yeah.
it was
Bobbert beat him a
TKO.
TKO. He got mounted and got a TKO.
I haven't, you know, like just like he was saying about Bobbert, he's slender and taller, skinnier. You know, it's kind of like me in a way. And you know, I've got my own game plan, and he's gonna have his. I'm gonna keep it up on the feet, as I've been working a lot of boxing lately. But I'm fine going on the ground as well.
You know, you of course come in as well. You've rolled for a long time. You have your blue belts and the jiu-jitsu, and he's a guy that if you watch him fight, I mean, he really likes to go to the ground. He really likes to try to catch people in submissions. When you do sit there and you kind of game plan for this, do you feel that when people make that step up from amateur to pro, they're not quite expecting what they're going to get? The rounds are a little bit longer, which means, I mean, obviously the more you roll, the more tired you get. You know, people maybe from the outside, when they see you guys in the mat and you're working your mat game, that's hard. You're either carrying their weight or they're carrying your weight. It takes a lot out of you. And now you're adding 2 more minutes onto a round, and you have to throw the fact in that they can hit you with an elbow, and elbows do nothing but make your life miserable if you catch one.
I've talked to more people, like my friends that don't train in any of this, and they're like, well, when you're on your back, you just keep catching a break anyway. It's not doing anything, you know. I'm like, dude, that is way harder than standing up, you know. I mean, that's a big part of your cardio, going around the ground.
What kind of cardio training do you both? I'll ask you both this. Obviously, you go and you train. You both do boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. How much cardio do you guys put in coming into these fights? Especially, like you said, now you're adding possibly, 6 more minutes into this fight.
That is my cardio, my kickboxing, my boxing, my jiu-jitsu, wrestling, judo, whatever I do at the gym is my cardio. If it was like a fight during the summer, you'd probably see me run a little bit more. I hit the elliptical a little bit, but running indoors is what it is. St. Pierre had a thing that he said a long time ago that I remember. Why would I go out and run? I'm not running around in the cage. My cardio should come from wrestling and jiu-jitsu, so that's the type of cardio he wants. My cardio is not as good as his, I don't think, but that's where I get most of my cardio, is 3 or 4 hours a day at the gym, just rolling around in the mat, doing kickboxing, boxing.
Excellent. Chris?
A lot of shadow boxing. We're not even throwing strikes, just movement. Basically, just training my body to move the correct way and fight. So it just always can come to that reset button. If I'm ever tired, if I can just get on my horse, I can pretty much recover pretty fast. I'm a good distance athlete, so it comes pretty easy to me.
Once again, we want to welcome you back here to the Fearless 30, being brought to you by our friends over at Wide World of Wings. I'm Jason Myers as we get set for Fearless Fighting Championship 15. that is happening April the 12th at Westman Arena. Tickets on sale. Of course, you can also find one of the fighters on the card. They can certainly sell you tickets. It's going to be a great night of fights, and the whole card's shaping up to be pretty exciting. And you know, when we get you guys in the card, we always have a lot of fun. Do you ever run into the fact? I mean, especially, I mean, I know you're from Superior. It's kind of your hometown now. You grew up around here too, Chris. Do you ever get the adrenaline dump that people talk about? You get worked up for a fight, your first pro fight, and all of a sudden you step in, everybody's going crazy for you, and then it just sinks out of you.
I don't know, I kind of seem like I get that way before every fight. Every fight that I've had, I've always had, like, it's nothing, I'm not nervous or tense or anything, and like, usually the day of the fight, you know, you kind of, all right, this is really, you know, this is happening today, and then once I stand in the tunnel, everything just goes away, and it's not, and it's a good goes away, like, you know, I know what I'm here to do, kind of thing. You know, the nerves leave and everything, I know what I gotta do.
Chris?
I guess probably just playing basketball and football at a high level my whole life. Well, not football, but basketball anyways. I'm just used to that game day jitters. They don't really affect me at all. I really just concentrating on like a lot of breathing exercises, and that just releases so much tension out of your body that pretty much fight day I'm more relaxed than I've ever been in my whole life because I just concentrate on staying calm. That's all that matters.
Go back, and I'll ask you both this. We're joined by Chris Hansman and Nick Spina. Go back to the very first time you guys decided to step into the cage. What was it like? Do you remember that feeling?
Yes. Yeah.
Go ahead.
That was scary. Once they closed the cage and they're like, "Are you ready? You're ready," and then everything just like tunnel vision. That was the only time I've really had that where I was just completely scared, like just out of my mind. But I just kept my cool and just the competitiveness, like competitive drive in me came out, and I just came and put on a show and did really good.
Nick?
I was the exact same way. I was getting all worked up backstage and thinking, oh my God, I gotta go in there and do this, you know. And I calmed down a little bit. On my very first fight, it was at Blackberry. It was FFC 3. And I don't know if you remember that, but the whole damn crowd started chanting my name. And that was awesome because that got a lot of my nerves out. And then, but like you said, same thing. As soon as they closed that cage door, and are you ready? And I was like, yeah, you know. And then we come out and we touch gloves, and it was kind of you're still there to do business, you know. So
Sure.
yeah. And then, you know, once I clinched up with the guy, it was just.
It's funny, you know, I asked this question once to another fighter, and I played football, I played college football, and I always said, you know, with me, it took me getting hit that first time, that big pop, and then I kind of wake up and then I'm in the game. And not knowing any better, I asked this fighter, I go, so is it like when you get hit the first time, you wake up, and he's like, no, it's a little bit different, this is a fight game, I don't think you want to take one shot. But you know, you do see people sometimes, they look, you know, they need to get hit or they need to get in there and kind of roll a little bit before they kind of wake up. And I got to imagine once you get in there and you kind of focus out of the fact, how do I say this question? I got to imagine you're not going there going, I'm getting into a fight. You're going in there to compete in a martial art. And I think maybe the outside people that have never done it, like myself, you know, I've rolled, but I've never got into an actual cage fight. I got to imagine it doesn't, to you guys, you're not fighting, you're competing in a combat sport.
Yeah, I don't hate my opponent. You know, I mean, there's grudges or whatever sometimes, but I mean, all my opponents have never hated him, never wanted to fight him. It was just he's my opponent, it's my competition.
Have you ever gotten to a cage with somebody you just didn't like?
Personally? Probably not. No,
No?
not really. I had a kid that was really disrespectful towards me in the fight. I just laughed in his face. So. Didn't bug me none.
No. We're joined by Nick Speed and Chris Hansman, of course, as we get set for Fearless Fighting Championship 15 on August the 12th. Of course, tickets are available. April the 12th, thank you. No, not August the 12th. We need to come out April the 12th. And as we get set for you guys' pro debuts, and it should be a great night of fights. You're definitely going to want to get tickets for this. Is there anyone that you guys have looked up to in the fight game? I mean, obviously, the sport of MMA is relatively new, if you want to look at it. I mean, you got baseball, you got basketball, the NFL, they've been around for a long, long time. I mean, really, MMA has been around 20-something years, possibly. But who are the guys that you guys look up to now as fighters that you think that these are the guys I want to model my game after?
Okay. First, Cody Anderson. He knows Cody. He's a purple belt now. He might be a lot farther along than that. He helped me a lot with my jiu-jitsu, took me off to the side, talked to me, showed me a lot of stuff, kind of took me under his wing early on. Brian Learn, I would say, he early on was an MMA fighter that was local that I kind of got taken under his wing. And then just, man, the list of people goes on in the cities, but I really look up to a lot of people down there. Ken Glenn is one that I've really respected because I just love his work ethic and he's such a nice kid. But most of the people I look up to in life, I try to make like the people that are good people. So there's a lot of great fighters out there, but if you're not a good person and I can't see that, then it's like hard for me to look up to you. But yeah, there's a lot of great guys out there.
Absolutely. Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I got Cody Anderson at my gym now, and Brian Learn's at the gym too, so I love them guys. Everyone there light years ahead of me. I'm always looking up to them guys, you know. I got into MMA just as a coincidence, you know, working out at a gym, laid off the job, started to go into a gym. I didn't like want to go, I just kind of, all right, I'll go check it out one day and have it left sense, you know. But yeah, you know, a lot of my friends that do it, you know, even Chris, some of the guys down in the cities, I looked up to all them guys, and you know, we're always making each other better, you know.
You know, obviously you guys, I don't want to say you're young into the sport by any means, but for being guys that you look at now, especially you look at gyms, are there any names out there that you see, maybe some newcomers that are in your gyms that you're like, man, this guy is going to be really good once he gets some more experience underneath the belt?
I've got a couple definitely now that are, you know, there's a kid in there that's like 18 and another one that's 20, and they're already keeping right up to me, and you know, here I am, a 33-year-old thinking, boy, I wish I'd have started 12 years ago. And, you know, but, yeah, definitely, I mean, it's, you know, we're a little smaller up here, Jim's down by where he's at, there's, you know, a mass number of people down there, but yeah, I definitely see some up-and-comers coming.
Sure.
Spartan's always got some really talented, tough kids. None I can think of by name that aren't already fighting and doing really well. And then at Heath's, it's just kickboxers, so there's not really a lot of guys that do the MMA from there.
Once again, thank you for joining us here on the Fearless 30. I'm Jason Myers. Of course, being brought to you by our friends over at Wide World of Wings as we get set for fights at Westman Arena. Coming up April the 12th, it's going to be a great night. Make sure you get your tickets. They are on sale now. Like I said, we always say encourage you to find a fighter that's going to be in the card and make sure you support them, purchase tickets from them. You can also get them at Wide World of Wings as well. Well, as we count down, we're just about 4.5 weeks away. What goes into the training now? Do you guys keep it the same? Do you start tapering off the closer you get to your fight night? Or what's your philosophy? How do you like to go into this fight off?
I'm going just about as hard as we can right now, and I will probably for a couple of weeks, and then like 2 weeks before the fight, you know, it's like tone it down a little bit, you know, 'cause when you're going hard, there's always susceptible injuries and stuff and whatnot, but we're going hard right now. 2 weeks before the fight, we'll taper down, obviously the week of the fight, you know, just go nice and easy and go over technique and stuff.
Sure. Chris?
This will be the last week I concentrate on strength and conditioning. The last 3 weeks I concentrate mostly on fight movements, just doing them and making sure I'm doing them all correctly, other than my normal jiu-jitsu and kickboxing, and basically just monitoring myself and making sure that I get no injuries, because you don't want to go into a cage injury.
You know, it's one of those things that I think, like you see, you go back to outsiders looking in, they don't get how much respect goes into this sport, I don't think. Like we talked about a little bit ago, you have respect for your opponent. You don't hate your opponent. You know, and unfortunately, you have states out there like New York that they completely ban mixed martial arts. They don't let people go and fight. But in today's world, when you run into so many people that bullying seems to be a big deal, and it's, you know, you see it on the news every day. I mean, tragic stories of people that were bullied to the point where they couldn't take it anymore. MMA, I think, kind of gives people, even if you never want to get into a cage, it gives you that outlet to go and learn self-respect, learn discipline, and learn how to defend yourself. And I got to imagine that's something that you guys take pretty seriously when, you know, unfortunately you get people, oh, you're a cage fighter, you want to fight? No, it's not what it's about. It's a lot more than that. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know?
Kids getting bullied, get them into martial arts. That's the best way to deal with that, honestly. You'd rather have a big stick than not at all, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you see that a lot. I mean, really, you start going to more and more gyms, and you know, Tom down in the cities runs an amazing gym.
Yeah.
You know, Nick, your gym. You're starting to see a younger crowd in there where,
Yeah.
you know, when this first started, you know, people wanted to get in there, they wanted to try it out, see what it was all about, and, you know, but now you're seeing, well, these people are so respectful and they're good people to be around, and they hold things in life a little more dear than just getting into a cage and swinging. And like you said, I mean, it's a great way to stay in shape, and it's a great way to build self-confidence, because that's one thing we all know. If you stand up to a bully, they're usually going to back themselves down. I mean, do you guys see a trend of a younger crowd? I know, Nick, you said you have a smaller gym, so it's a little bit more condensed, but obviously, you know, Tom Schmidt down there at Spartan, he's got a massive gym. I gotta imagine you have a pretty young crowd that can get in there.
Yeah, he really is been lately reaching out to high school wrestling. He got a bunch of schools that bring in a bunch of kids to work with him. He's just, you know, trying to incorporate more wrestlers and get a lot more people in the gym. But yeah, he has a lot of people in there.
You know, it's going to be a lot of fun, like I said, when you get in there. And it's definitely a family atmosphere. You know, I've been around a few gyms, and you go in there, and it's, you know, you always have the competitiveness, because let's be honest, you guys are mixed martial artists. You guys have that type of personality that, you know, you're go-getters, you're driven, you're athletic. So you think about that, and sometimes you get into a locker room that's not necessarily a good thing, but man, it really is a family atmosphere when you guys at gyms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, it's going to be one of those great shows. I'm telling you, you got to get tickets. Of course, it is going to be April the 12th over at Westman Arena in Superior. Once again, we want to say thank you to some of our sponsors for making it happen. Of course, our new ones, Bill Thompson Law Office, also Grumpy's Tavern in Superior. We also want to say thank you to the Ugly Stick, where they will be hosting the post-fight after party. So definitely want to get over there in Superior. And the weigh-ins. I mean, this all starts, I mean, really, the festivities don't just start on the 12th. The festivities start on the 11th. Now, it's as much self-respect and discipline. There are some grumpy fighters come the 11th, because, I mean, Chris, you're one of the, you know, exceptions, like you said. You're walking around about 150 right now. You have to come in at 145, and technically 146 with a pound allowance. And you run into guys that will cut weight on. I mean, I know, Nick, you cut quite a bit. I mean, usually, what are you cutting that week before the fight?
10, 12 pounds.
Which isn't too bad. I mean, you see guys that will cut 15, 16 pounds the day before the fight.
I was one of them.
Yeah, and you probably weren't too happy when you had to step on that scale, right?
Yeah.
It is a lot of fun, though, so make sure you come out to the Other Place Bar as well. And they're going to have a nice big party as well as we do the weigh-ins. You can meet the fighters. You can purchase tickets as well. And you know what? It's just a nice weekend event for people to come down to. Now, people who've never been down to an MMA event, what would you tell them? I mean, what was your first MMA event like? Not even when we fought it, but the one you went and watched for the first time.
Your guys' first one, actually.
Really?
Yep, I was there for that. I don't remember who fought. I think Jeremy Lang maybe fought in.
That sounds about right. I think he was in the
He
first one.
smashed some guy. But yeah, no, it was a really fun fight to watch. That was my first fight I went to, and my first fight was for you guys as well.
That's right. Well, that's right. What about you, Nick?
That's the same here. My first one was FFC 2. Was the first one I went to, obviously because I was part of the old gym back then, and there we had a couple guys on the card. Well, I barely even watched any UFC beforehand, so I didn't even really know exactly what to expect with being in the locker room and everything. And after that show, I was just like telling all my friends, you guys gotta come check it out. It's just not a bunch of guys in there trying to bloody each other up, you know, it's actually kind of cool watching all this and getting in the hype and everything. And then obviously my first fight was for FFC as well too.
It's pretty interesting how things kind of come full circle. We were talking about it off the camera, but Chris, the first time I met you, I was actually cornering against you.
Yep.
For a gentleman I didn't even know, he just asked me to corner for him. I'm like, yeah, sure, I guess so. And it's been really a pleasure getting to know you guys over the years.
You cornered me too.
I cornered him, that's right. I cornered you up in Grand Rapids. I'm kind of good luck that way. Well, not for the other guy, because you choked him out in the second. I guess I wasn't that good of luck, that's for sure. Hey, well, you know what? You guys, obviously, we want to say thank you for coming in and filming the show. If people want to follow you on Facebook or on Twitter, do you guys have handles you want to give out?
Just Facebook me if you need tickets or want to get a hold of me.
That's Chris Hansman, right?
Chris Hansman.
There you go. You still going by the Flying Monkey?
Yes,
The
yes.
Flying Monkey. And of course, Nick, the Isabella Assassin. If people want to get tickets, tell them how to get hold of you.
Facebook.
There you go. You can stop in down to your gym
Just out in
too.
the gym too.
We're going to give them the address.
1937 West Superior Street.
There you go. So once again, you come on out and see these two gentlemen get into the ring, making their pro debut on April the 12th over at Westman Arena. Tickets are on sale now. Once again, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Fearless 30, and we'll see you here in a couple weeks.